Have you ever felt that something is wrong? Not with the world, not with politics, not with the news. Something wrong in a more intimate, deeper way. A thin crack in the very fabric of the reality you experience every day. It's the feeling you get when you say the right thing, but get the wrong reaction. When you see others connect through words that seem empty to you. Social rituals that feel like a play everyone is in on, except you. You feel like a foreigner who has learned the language perfectly, but will never understand the jokes. You think it's your fault, that you are too complicated, too analytical, unable to just let go. Society offers a comforting diagnosis for your loneliness. You are the problem. But what if that's not true? What if your loneliness isn't a failure, but an inevitable consequence? The symptom of having sight that is too sharp. The price for seeing the mechanism that others refuse to see. Over a century ago, a man walked on these same cracks in reality. A philosopher who didn't use philosophy to find comfort, but to wield it like a hammer. His name was Friedrich Nietzsche, and what he discovered is not an academic theory, but a disturbing truth about power, relationships, and the reason why the most intelligent minds often end up walking alone. What you are about to hear will not give you peace, but it will make you feel seen, and it might make you realize that you are not broken. You are just terribly, painfully awake. Nietzsche didn't talk about intelligence as we measure it, with tests and scores. He spoke of a rarer kind of sharpness, the ability to see past the masks. Think of society as a great stage. From childhood, we learn our lines. We learn to smile when we are disappointed, to show interest when we are bored, to give compliments to get approval. We learn the morality of the herd. What is good is what makes others comfortable, what keeps order, what does not disturb. Most people don't just accept this play, they end up believing it's real. The mask becomes the face. Their opinions are not truly their own, but echoes of what is considered acceptable. Their desires are shaped by what the culture tells them to desire. It is a comfortable existence, a deep and dreamless sleep. The intelligent individual, in the Nietzschean sense, is the one who starts to notice the inconsistencies. They see the flash of envy behind a compliment. They sense the fear behind an act of bullying. They perceive the desperate need for approval behind a claim of superiority. They can't help it. Their mind is a tool that automatically takes apart social constructions. And this is where the tragedy begins. When you talk to someone, you are not just talking to a person. You are talking to their mask, to their constructed identity, to the image they desperately need to project to feel safe. When you, with your sharp sight, look at that person, you don't just see the mask. You glimpse what is behind it. And this, to the other person, is terrifying. Your gaze is a mirror they cannot control. It reflects their insecurities, their contradictions, their emptiness. You don't do it with malice. You don't even do it on purpose. The simple fact that you see is an act of unintentional aggression against their protected reality. People will not respect you for this. They will fear you. Think of that conversation where you tried to explain a complex idea and you saw the other person's eyes glaze over with boredom or incomprehension. It wasn't just boredom. It was a defense. Your depth threatened their surface. It was easier to label you as intense or arrogant than to admit they couldn't or wouldn't follow you. Think of that relationship where you felt misunderstood. You tried to communicate your deepest fears and hopes, but they were constantly simplified, reduced to something more manageable. Your partner wasn't trying to understand you. They were trying to fit you into a box that didn't threaten theirs. Nietzsche called this the will to power. It is not the desire to dominate others, as is often believed. It is the fundamental drive of every being to impose its own interpretation of the world onto reality. The herd exercises its will to power through morality, conventions, and social judgment. It pushes you to conform. The higher individual, instead, exercises their will to power by seeking truth, even at the cost of loneliness. And the herd does not forgive those who walk away. But there is a darker layer to all of this. something you may have started to suspect in your most honest, lonely moments. So far, we have painted a picture where you are a passive victim, an innocent observer punished for your clarity. What if that's not the whole truth? What if, at some point, your loneliness stopped being something that happens to you and became something that you, unconsciously, cultivate? At first, the isolation hurts. It's a rejection that burns. But then, slowly, you begin to discover something in that emptiness. You discover power. The power of no longer having to act. The power of no longer having to beg for approval. The power to think thoughts that no one around you could bear. Loneliness becomes your laboratory, your sanctuary, the desert where you can finally hear your own voice, without it being drowned out by the noise of the world. You start to develop a subtle contempt for the social games that used to hurt you. The small vanities, the shallow conversations, the obsessive search for status. It all starts to seem pathetic. It's not arrogance. It's just distance. Like an astronomer who looks at the stars and can no longer worry about the puddles in the street. And here is the dark turn. You start to use your intelligence not just to see, but as a shield. Your complex analyses, your sharp irony, your tendency to intellectualize emotions, they are no longer just parts of your personality. They become weapons to keep others at a distance. Why? Because you have understood that intimacy, true intimacy, requires a form of voluntary blindness. It requires accepting the other's mask, participating in the play, suspending judgment, and you are no longer capable of it. Or worse, you are no longer willing to do it. Every attempt at connection becomes a test. Will this person understand? Will they see beyond the surface? Will they be worthy of my depth? The answer is almost always no. And every no is a small, secret victory. It confirms your specialness. It justifies your loneliness. It turns your pain into a badge of honor. Your loneliness is no longer a prison imposed from the outside. It has become your fortress, and you are both its king and its prisoner. There is no solution to this. I will not tell you to learn to communicate better, to be more humble, or to find people like you. Those are the comforting lies of the herd, attempts to bring you back into the fold. The truth is, you cannot unsee. You cannot go back to sleep once you are awake. The path of the individual who rises above the average is, by definition, a lonely path. Nietzsche spoke of the Übermensch, the overman, not as a powerful being who dominates others, but as one who has overcome himself, who has created his own values after destroying the imposed ones. And this process can only happen in the deafening silence of total solitude. Your loneliness is the symptom that you are fighting to become yourself in a world that wants you to be someone else. So, the next time you feel that crack in reality, that sense of alienation in the middle of a crowd, do not see it as your failure. Recognize it for what it is. It is the sound of your footsteps leaving the beaten path. It is the cold wind of the peaks you have chosen to climb. It will not bring you happiness. Happiness is an idol of the marketplace, an anesthetic for the herd. It will bring you something rarer, awareness, and the terrible, magnificent weight of finally being yourself. If this truth resonates with you, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Like and subscribe for more journeys into the uncomfortable truths of our world.